Evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you to this council meeting of Tuesday, the 15th of October at the Euroa Community Conference Centre. I'm Peter Stevenson, Administrator of Strathbogie Shire Council, and I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. And a particular thank you to the gallery who have attended again and again and again. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the place we live, work and play. We recognise and respect the enduring relationship they have with their land and waters, and we pay respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Today we're meeting on the lands of the Tongarong peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, whose sovereignty here has never been ceded. This public meeting is being streamed live via our website and made available for public access on our website, along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to the use and disclosure of any information that you share at the meeting, which includes personal or may include personal or sensitive information to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes. Council considers that the recommendations contained in this agenda gives effect to the overarching governance principles stated in section 9.2 of the Local Government Act 2020. These principles are numbered 1 to 9 on page 4 of the agenda. As we are in the election period, during the election period, in accordance with 6.3 of the Strathbogie Shire Council election period policy, the interim chief executive officer must ensure an election period statement is included in any report submitted to a council meeting stating that the recommended decision is not a prohibited decision as defined under section 69.2 of the Local Government Act 2020. Tonight's items have been considered appropriate and meet the election period requirements. Again, we welcome the people in our public gallery and also those viewing this meeting through our live stream via our website. This meeting is being held in accordance with Strathbogie Shire's governance rules. If we have technical difficulties during today's meeting, which means we are unable to stream the proceedings to the public, we will continue with the meeting given the public gallery is open. If an officer has a conflict of interest in a matter, they will be asked to leave the meeting and no discussion on the matter will commence until we are sure they have done so. The person will then be contacted to rejoin the meeting after the matter has been considered and the vote concluded. Mr. CEO, do we have any apologies from staff?
Yes, Chair. We have John Harvey, Director of Sustainable Infrastructure, and also Rosemary Scott, Executive Director, Communications, Engagement and Advocacy. Also just to say that Brian Doyle is with us here this evening as the Acting Director of Sustainable Infrastructure. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim, and welcome, Brian. Okay. Declarations of conflict or disclosures of conflict of interest. Any, CEO?
Neil, next, Chair.
Thank you, CEO. Confirmation of minutes of the meeting, decisions of previous meeting, confirmation of minutes of the decisions of the ordinary council meeting held on Tuesday the 17th of September 2024. In that regard, I move that the recommendation becomes a resolution and is carried. So the minutes, I should say, the minutes are true and correct as stated in that recommendation. Petitions, no petitions? Okay. Administrator's report. As I mentioned at our council meeting held on in September, we're currently in the election period, and in accordance with council's election period policy, the ordinary day-to-day business of local government must continue throughout the election period. Business continues to be conducted by council and in particular its staff in a responsible and transparent manner and in accordance with statutory requirements. I do have an update for the community in relation to Chinaman's Bridge. With the support of Extent Heritage, Council has submitted the permit application to demolish Chinaman's Bridge with the exception of the land-based abutments. Heritage Victoria has a statutory time frame of 45 days to make a decision on the permit application, and Council awaits advice from Heritage Victoria regarding any requests for further information and any requirement for public advertising of the permit. Council thanks several local businesses through Joe Nagambi for providing information regarding the economic impact of the current waterway closure due to the unsafe condition of the bridge. This was a requirement to inform the permit application. And just a few more words to say thank you to members of the community and to members of the Strathbogie Shire staff for your welcome and your support during my time here. Others will judge the decisions I've made, and that's fine. And others will have the opportunity to make their own decisions at the elections on after 26 October. But I leave at that time wanting to acknowledge the hard work of the staff team and acknowledge the good people of the Shire who have been very free with their time, free with their advice, good advice often. Sometimes some you don't want to hear, but most of the time it's been advice that's been well constructed and well received, and hopefully we've been taking that on board and dealing with it. I look forward to, I've said this before, I look forward to reading many positive stories about how the election that is forthcoming delivers a strong united council for the people of the Shire, and I wish you all well. Thank you. Thank you. Public questions. Please note that in accordance with the election period policy clause 6.2 and Strathbogie Shire Council governance rules clause 35.2.2, public question time will not occur during the election period. So we now have our order of business. Officer reports 11.1.1 planning applications, permit applications received and determined 1 September to 30 September 24, sorry, I should say 1 August to 31 August. Hang on, was it September? Yeah, sorry. Yes, and there is that statement that the recommended decision isn't a prohibited decision as defined under section 69(2) of the Local Government Act 2020. Now, the responsible director it's Director Frampton. So could you give us a summary, highlights, please?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. As per Council's planning permit applications referral to Council policy, this report provides a listing of all planning applications received and planning applications determined for the period of 1st of September to 30th of September 2024. During this reporting period, there were 10 new planning applications received and 8 planning applications decided. The latest available planning permit activity performance figures are also attached. These are for the month of August, as these are the most recent performance data that we have access to. The contents of this report are provided for information purposes only, and the listing of current planning applications on public display can be found on Council's website. Attachment 4 also provides an update on current Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal appeals where no decision has been made. There is a recommendation for your consideration on page 6 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Director Frampton, and I'll say thank you to those responsible for that work in the planning area, and thank them for their ongoing work during my time here. That said, I would move that the recommendation becomes a resolution and as such is carried. Thank you. The next one is 11.2.2, and I'll just get to that. Contracts, works, variations and grants awarded under delegation the 1st of September 2024 to the 30th of September 2024. And this time I'll be asking Director Tingay for a highlights, a brief summary and some highlights, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is also another one of our standard monthly reports. As you will note in the report, there have been a number of contracts and grant applications awarded during the reporting period. Also just need to point out in the recommendation that there is a quick response grant awarded for the July period, and we do apologise for the oversight in not including that in the August meeting. There is a recommendation for your consideration on page 14 of tonight's agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Director Tingay, and again, thank you to the team, to all of those people behind these the works, the grant contract and works and grants, so on, under this item, and I'm sure the community will appreciate those works once they're concluded. That said, I'll move that the recommendation becomes a resolution and is carried. That recommendation on what page was that? I should have said that.
21.
Page 21. Yep. Thank you.
Sorry, 14. The next one.
Sorry, yes, it was on page 14, I should say. Yeah. The resolution, well, the recommendation on page 14 becomes a resolution there. So it's just carried. And sorry about that, Kerry, making it difficult to follow, I guess. I am. Okay, so moving on now to the annual report on page 21. And this one for you again to give us some highlights, please, Director Tingay.
Thank you, Chair. This report presents the 2023-2024 annual report to Council. The report includes the financial report and performance report, both which have received clear audit opinion from VAGO. The annual report also covers a range of information, including the year in review, highlights, and also some advocacy work that we had done throughout the year. There is a recommendation on page 21 of tonight's agenda for your consideration. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Director Tingay. And, you know, usually with an annual report, you do want to talk it up and talk about the good things and the things that have been achieved in the period. But given it's an election period, we have to be very circumspect about what we can say. But what I can say is what the annual report does, it represents a lot of work by a lot of people, and whether others might have a particular people will have a particular view about whether that should have happened or that should have happened, or this was quick enough or that wasn't quick enough. That's up to them. But it does represent a lot of work, and I guess it's up to those people who will come on board on the 26th of October or thereafter to set their own or create their own history for next year. And again, I'll be tuning in to hear how they went for that year. But thank you to all of the team. Like every one of the staff of Strathbogie Shire has had a hand in the works that have gone on and that are represented in this annual report. So on behalf of the community in my current role, I say thank you. That said, I move that the recommendation becomes a resolution and is carried. Notice of motion, Neil? Neil. Notice of rescission. Well, that'd be an interesting one if I had one of those. But no, there's none. Urgent business, none. And confidential business, none. And the next ordinary meeting of Strathbogie Shire Council is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 19th of November 2024 at the Euroa Community Conference Centre, commencing at 6 p.m. With that said, I'll be closing the meeting at 6:14 p.m.